Hi, friends. Host Eric here. Talking to Finnish people. I'll turn these mics up a bit. Topic of this stream is closing intellectual gaps or bridging intellectual gaps. One of the biggest problems I have, or one of the most irritating things I encounter in YouTubing and talking about stuff, is having ideas challenged by people who don't know how to challenge ideas and who can't understand anyway. So, if you don't understand that definitional considerations have their own domain in which they have primacy, regardless of whether they're more or less important than experience, Kankan Krishna Sarnapagu, hey. I say hey back to you. You say hey to me, you get a hey right back. You deserve it. You go ahead and chew on that hay for a while. Hi, Skagir. Oh, we're in a different place now. We've been all walking from the last place to this place for hours now. So, for example, if I was in a drafting class and I was learning to do drafting. Drafting is the old school way of making blueprints with a ruler and a pencil and a pen and stuff. I would understand clearly enough that learning to do drafting well, within the context of drafting, and according to the rules of drafting, would be a skill and an approach to understanding things that has its own niche, right? So if I took a drafting class, I wouldn't complain to the teacher that the teacher's wrong because he thinks everything's drafting. Probably the teacher doesn't think everything's drafting, but he's talking about drafting right now because it's a drafting class. I shouldn't conclude the teacher doesn't understand non-drafting modalities. I shouldn't conclude that the teacher is advocating that drafting is the only modality that ought to be used. I shouldn't conclude that learning drafting well somehow is a bad idea because it is not complete enough in my understanding of things. I would accept that I'm talking about drafting, and so it validates within its own set of rules, right? So one style of sort of pointless pushback I get is the kind that Cloud brings. Modern thinkers only use cold, rational 3D brain, which is fairly limited. Of course, what I'm talking about is we're talking about a word-based model here that is necessarily of its thing, just like drafting is of its thing, right? This is of its thing. We understand it as not the complete explanation of everything. That would be foolish. We don't think that cognitive functions and these philosophical distinctions that I'm drawing comprise everything in life. That would be ridiculous. We understand that it's the equivalent to drafting or learning Python, learning to code Python, right? You don't complain to the Python teacher that, hey, lots of things in life can't be coded in Python. Yes, we all know that, Cloud. Lots of things in life cannot be coded in Python. That doesn't make learning Python a waste of time, does it? It doesn't make Python useless. It doesn't make Python something you ought to dismiss. It just means that it's not going to validate outside of what it's supposed to be and do, naturally. So that's one kind of pointless pushback I get, is the cloud kind. I just did cloud. I made it very clear. What I'm talking about is not everything. Okay? Just complain to the Python teacher that if you don't have manual memory allocation, you're using a useless language and thus are a useless person. Does Python not have manual memory allocation? I don't even know. I'm not that good with again, I'm not even saying Python's necessarily useful or useless. I'm just saying that if you're going to evaluate it, don't expect it to cook you dinner and say Python's useless because it didn't cook you dinner. You know, that's what Cloud's always coming in here and doing, is saying the true, just, and fine words that I say, the clear distinctions I draw, and the meaningful philosophizing that I do is useless because it's not cooking him dinner. It's like, well, Cloud, that's not the point of philosophy. That's supposed to cook you dinner. Right. But will it fix my car? You know, I present this cognitive function model that makes great sense about, or something like this. Why we can conclude that the unobserved cannot exist, or that existence is predicated on observation, is a very important and significant distinction to make between the nature of map and the nature of territory, and how it's critically important, if we want to understand philosophy at all, that we don't conflate the two. But most people can't understand it. And some people understand it so poorly that they say things like, yeah, but can I fix my car? That's what I get from Cloud. Hi, Winston's mom. But there's other kinds of pushback that I get, which is people who are less clear, really, about they want to say what Cloud's saying, but they don't. They still think they think they're arguing with me. Like XZ, the guy whose comment I responded to, he thinks he's arguing with me, but it's like I present this purposeful, neat arrangement of things, okay, and say here, and it's arranged for a reason that way. And so he goes, "Oh, is that how we do it?" And he arranges things purposely and meaninglessly, and goes like this, and I go, hey, no. And why do I even bother saying no? Does he even have the possible capacity of understanding correctly? Probably not. I mean, he's not. If you saw that comment, it's just, oh. The point about logical stuff is not that it's the case that if A, then B, but that if A, then B, then we can, yeah. And it's like, people who aren't TI people don't get that somehow. It's fucking frustrating. You go, if A, then B. And the non-TI person goes, yeah, but it's not the case that if A, then B. And you go, okay, but if A, then B, then we can conclude some things and we can do some things and rather just be fucking useless all the time and pointless. So let's function, let's talk as though if the A, then B. And, you know, it's like, you get some people who go, yeah, but not if A, then B. Well, you're missing the fucking point. We're trying to accomplish something here. We're not trying to maintain the mushiness of reality. We're trying to eliminate the mushiness of reality and attain representational solidity and finality. Where we can attain those things on the map. So that's what we ought to do on the map. We can't attain those things in the territory, so we have to live with that reality. Dissemblers. If you're going to be groupist about anybody, I want to be groupist about dissemblers. Dissemblers can suck it. I don't like dissembling. So I want to talk to you about yeah-butting next. Yeah-butting is another kind of bullshit that I get that is, it can be described as severance. In debate, we have this thing called severance. So it's like, let's say you argue that we should cut down all of these kinds of trees. And that's part of your argument. And then I win that point, and I establish that, no, that's a bad idea to cut down all those trees. And you go, yeah, okay, fine, maybe it's a bad idea to cut all those trees down. But, and then you make some other argument, right? But the thing is, if I go, okay, but the thing is, your plan here is predicated on cutting all those trees down. A lot of the stuff you're trying to say here requires that happen first. Now you said that you agree that's a bad idea. Yeah, but we'll get there some other way. That's severance. You're just saying, yeah, but that's no longer my plan now. And I'm going to make some new arguments. And I'm going to pretend that I'm not married to that bad argument that's already been defeated. You are married to it. You can kick it, but you can't just walk away from it and pretend it never happened. And later on, when you make a contradictory argument, it's still in play for me to go, earlier you argued this, and now you're arguing this. What changed your mind? It's not necessarily invalid because you're arguing something inconsistent with what you argued earlier, but it's in play. You're not severed from it. It still happened. I've never committed to an argument in my life. Well, the point is, my basic position is that something's objective because it's external to me, which is a position sometimes people have. And they say, well, because, so I say, why do we even have a word for extroversion and introversion then? It's like, is extroverted and objective the same thing? And they go, well, not necessarily. But you just said, it's objective because it's external to you. Well, extroversion is not, it's like they get confused or whatever. And then, let's say I get them to agree that it's not, the objective is not always external. And then later on, they say something again, like, well, we know that's subjective because it's internal. Well, they're married to the fact that we've already covered this ground. It's been addressed, and I already got them on the thing. They agreed to meow. They can't then just continue to go round and round a circle, pretending as though that ground's not already been covered. It's been covered. That's it. People need to be cooperative in their engagement with other people so that work can be done with language. Otherwise, work always is done with language. The question is, do you want to do good work with language or not? Do you want to do purposeful work? I see I'm losing viewers here. Ranting about argumentational failures of others is not a popular topic, apparently. You've married nothing. You use your arguments for flings. All right, so there's yeah-butting. There's, the basic unwillingness to draw distinctions that cloud off in voices. There's also just straight up people competing directly, like Jack from World Socionic Society. Competing directly, but frankly not prepared to do so. Because he hasn't applied enough TI to what he's talking about. He's young, He needs to learn from me. But this is the problem. People in general don't see the positions they hold as something they need to learn from other people or through experience or through argumentation. They see it as part of their ontology. If you critique TI polar person's political positions, they will see it as a personal attack. 8th slot 2. Thank you. I am a fine looking lady. Email Anthrax. I've been working on my beauty. I've been going to the beauty parlor lately. That's not sound right. Srinivasa Svergi. Srinivasa Svergi used to be a vegan. Now, after countless hours of superior savage sun gazing, has realized the truth lies in naturalistic carnivore diet. It's a learning tool song for the alphabet and Sesame Street. Perhaps it is. Since then, he's been belligerently defending the rigorous mathematical foundations of his genius mathematical nutrition model of how the universe works. It works by eating plenty of corn. It's even said he shanked someone just to food corn. Now you understand how negative rights are universal. Because before I stabbed you, you thought they were of particularist concern, culturally significant. I mean, culturally relative. Yeah, cultural relativism is bullshit. Yeah, cultural relativism is bullshit. Everybody should know. Moral absolutism, so. It's important not to be a relativist, because if you are, then you're full of fists up your butt, because you don't know what's what. Then you can't see that the moral obligations that apply to everyone also apply to you. Once upon a time, a long time ago, there were many people out in the snow. They were shoveling and then they went home to have some soup. Why was cold outside, Mom? Why was cold outside, Mom? Can I have another bowl of soup? Go to Canada, get in the cold, have some soup, make yourself bold, go some gold, go on some gold. You're in Canada, so have maple syrup and you. We'll have some pancakes too. That's what it means to be in Canada. I'm going curling. I'm going losing. I'm going curling. I'm going losing. I live in Canada. I'm going curling. I like hockey. I live in Canada. I live in Canada. I live in Saskatchewan. I live in Canada. I live in Saskatchewan. I live in Calgary. I live in Saskatchewan. I live in Calgary. I live in Ontario. I'm from Canada. Yes, I am. Land of Canadian lambs. Land where Canadian ham grows out of Canadian families that live out in the wilderness, thinking about evolution and children. Todd, wonder what you think about evolution. Holy shit. Holy what? Holy it. Holy butt. Holy dick. Holy cut. Cut what? Cut your butt? No, don't cut your butt. That'd make you bleed from your butt. Don't cut your butt. Leave it alone. When you're sitting around, don't cut your butt. Get a knife, but don't cut your butt. Cut some fruit, cut some nuts, but don't cut your butt. Won't make sense if you cut your butt. Then you're just gonna bleed from the cut in your butt. What? Why cut your butt? A couple years ago, just to prove a point. He went south just to prove a point. Around a place to toy. We went south just to prove a point. Is there a single ideal which we are reaching? Meaning that some are thinking superior to others. There's a single ideal that I am reaching, but not the same ideal that you are reaching, because each ideal is particularist, like whether the thing that you're teaching is learnable by a student. It's unclear if you're prudent to spend your time instructing them. There is no single ideal, but there is a negative moral obligation that's universally applicable to everyone. See, you shouldn't violate another person's rights. That wouldn't be good. That would be frightfully wrong. I'm INTP, hence my way of thinking is the best and equal absolute truth. The absolute truth. Those who think other than me think quite inferior of me, because I'm INTP. Sky Gear, Lord of Promiscuous NE Tool says. can notice in reality. For example, ISJ never make a panel, never invent a light bulb or something, never invent a pumping. Well, that's probably true, Cloud. ISFJs don't invent shit. That doesn't make them less important. What about other INTPs? Are they much more important than me? Do they have a bowl of pea soup inside of their microwave? I don't know. The ISFJ's response to that would be, when's the last time you even changed the light bulb? Right. ISFJ's proper response should be, well, fortunately, we don't need to invent a light bulb because they've already been invented by, what's his name? You know, that guy, father of electricity. Everyone's important, but not everyone is advanced. Advanced from what? Advanced to what? Advanced in regard to what? Advanced compared to what? Certain aspects of me are advanced. Others are remedially, like my ability to keep ants as pets. I'm not good at that. Therefore, it's a remedial skill for me. But rapping and freestyling, no, for this very funky beat is G. It's really quite easy, quite simple, because it's such a good beat to rap over, and I can do it without much thought. Because everybody has multiple skill sets, some of which are well developed, and some of which are shitty, and yet they do them anyway, because it's not people than they. Why not? You're not obligated to attend to those things that you are best at, according to third party's judgment. Well, if the ideal is to be happy, then the types get satisfaction from their happy out of using their habitual functions. I would say there's no superior junction of patterns in the world. You'll never see an ISFJ philosopher, scientist, leader, CEO, or whatever. Well, my mom was an ISFJ, and she was much important to me than any of those people that you list who aren't important as shit compared to my mother, at least in my life. And my life's what's important to me. My life, my stripe, and my wife. Work is like a good if I function. When he raps, I good if I function, good if I function. And the tap dance, like Gregory Hines, what happened to him? Gregory Hines, he was such a talented. Gregory Hines, where did you go? Oh, Gregory Hines, Gregory Hines. Tap dance for us, Gregory Hines. Gregory Hines, Gregory Hines. Tap dance for us, Gregory Hines. You and Fred Astaire can tap. Have a tap dance contest. You and Fred Astaire have a tap dancing contest for us. I want to see Gregory Hines and Fred Astaire in a tap off to see who wins the Britney and Justin dance off. Pretty funky, huh? That wah-wah thing is my voice affected. It's just me going like that. I've almost got this thing done or being arranged and put together so we can start putting vocals over it. Rachel and I think Rachel's going to sing on this instead of me. I'll probably get background on it. Like, this isn't quite timed right here, but that's fine. Close. Okay. above squirrels, because when I look up, I see them overhead. Maybe consciousness is equal to just the vessel it runs through and the capability to discern. What's the point in killing someone when it's not exerting tyrannical power but perfectly fine and humane? All good questions. What does that have to do with the idea of humans and debunking whether certain thought patterns are superior? Oh, I hate you last. Relevance is overrated. That's the proper arrangement of the thing. Okay. I still have a little more work to do on it, but I worked on it a lot yesterday, fixing timing issues and stuff, because the seams were shoddy across the board. The seams. This tap format is actually quite rap format looking, soothing. What? Oh, you're forward. I see. Right. Not too bad, right? And finally, Eric stops playing things. Finally. God, Eric, you are so annoying. I know. I'm sorry for being so annoying. I'm so sorry for being annoying. I'm so sorry for being annoying. Song on Bench with Junk and Yaris. What? What song is that? Song on Bench with Junk and Yaris. Nolan's Duty Tootie. What's Nolan's Duty Tootie? I see what the problem is here. Let's see if that works. Thanks, Kyra. I take that as high praise coming from you. I respect you as a musician, and I don't. That's not necessarily common. Country 130. What's Country 130? See, I've got all these little ideas and stuff that are recorded that I I only ever do stuff with occasionally some things. Mostly I don't end up doing anything with stuff, you know? Okay. Well, anyway, I think I'm going to probably wrap this live stream up here pretty quick. And I'm not sure what to do with my Thwacket. Well, I've also got this working on. I'm also working on this thing too. But see, I think this is too fast. Siddhartha Sedate. Siddhartha Sai. Siddhartha Sedate. Siddhartha Sai. What's impossible to watch Siddhartha drop? Siddhartha sit down. Siddhartha's tree. In that moment you breathe, he's the mystery. He did not relate. Siddhartha's mind. What would come to Siddhartha, not when he tried. Now watch what he makes. Siddhartha seems to accompany his greatest waking dreams. Siddhartha was royal. Wait. Let's see. Extra one. The royal at the site. Siddhartha Sedate. Siddhartha, where are you now? The fantasy is to have Siddhartha right in front of me. Now what would I say? Siddhartha, it's impossible to watch Siddhartha try. Siddhartha, sit down. Siddhartha, please. Would you just come to your senses? Will you retrieve your functional gait? Your fighting pride. It's impossible now that your hands are tied. Siddhartha's recoil of his life. Siddhartha the royal had it right. Siddhartha recoil at the sight. Siddhartha Sedate. It's a good song. Okay, let's see. What's generating bad karma? Truth goes as far as conditional logic, and everything else is wishy-washy, drunk-ass, wasted, ambiguous bullshit. Spoken like a TI user. What do you mean by gaining truth? Do you know the music genre Justice? No, I don't know the music genre Justice. Time will tell who is closer to the truth. If you can't gain truth, Cloud, you will never defeat Eric in a contest of who owns the ultimate truth. It's a good point, Email Landfax. Good point. Is this Michael Jackson's Beat It? No. I don't know what it is. It's I guess it had a slightly similar melodic vibe to it. I can kind of get where you make the connection there. Siddhartha's a Day. It's interesting. If you were 100% close to truth, you would be a god. Why do you afford so much? Well, I mean, what do you think truth is? It's similar to Beat It. I can see the connection. It's actually not my song, so I'm especially not not defensive about it. But I mean, it's totally distinct from Beat It as well. It's not like the same song. It's not like the. Vanity Man. Okay, so it's interesting the engagement with Cloud here, and Cloud seems to be sort of more responsibly engaging today than necessarily he always does, which I appreciate. Because I can get a little snarky with Cloud, because he gets very adversarial with me. He likes to generally he's talking about a lot lately about the dimensionalities of thinking, 5D thinking, 3D thinking, 2D thinking. I'm not really sure what he means by it. I'm not sure he knows what he means by it, but I'd be curious to hear more about it. I'm like a cartoon character. Well, which cartoon character am I like? Am I like Yosemite Sam? Can I be like Yosemite Sam? He's not really a character that I don't think he had a whole lot of storyline afforded to him. I want to look him up, Yosemite Sam. I want to know more about Yosemite Sam. Yosemite Sam is an American animated character in the Looney Tunes and Merry Melody series of cartoons. Along with Elmer Fudd, he is an adversary of Bugs Bunny. He is commonly depicted as an extremely aggressive gunslinging prospector, outlaw, pirate, or cowboy with a hair-trigger temper and intense hatred of rabbits. Bugs in particular. In cartoons with non-Western themes, he uses various aliases, including Chillicothe Sam, Square Deal Sam, Riff Raff Sam, Sam Schultz, Seagoing Sam, Shanghai Sam, Von Sham the Hessian, and many others. During the golden age of American animation, Yosemite Sam appeared in 33 shorts between 1945 and 1964. The golden era of American animation. It's a period that began with the popularization of sound cartoons in 1928 and gradually ended through the late 50s to the late 60s, where theatrical animated shorts began losing popularity to the newer medium of television animation. Let's see, what are the main players here? Well, Disney and Steamboat Willie launched the golden age of animation, apparently. In the Mickey Mouse series, he continued to add personality to his characters. This resulted in the creation of new characters such as Pluto, Goofy, Donald Duck, Um, 1937 Snow White, 1940 Pinocchio, and Fantasia was also 1940. Disney now fully committed to the war and producing propaganda shorts and a feature film entitled Victory Through Air Power. Lost around $500,000. Um, 1946 film Song of the South drew criticism in later years for racial stereotyping. 1950 Cinderella. Other places producing stuff. Popeye. Fleischer Studios did Popeye, the Sailor Man. Paramount did the Superman cartoons. Little Lulu. Little Audrey. Herman and Catnip. Cat and mouse duel similar to Tom and Jerry. Let's see. What else do we have here? Porky Pig. This is Friz Freleng. Porky Pig. And Tex Avery are responsible for Bugs Bunny, Elmer Fudd, created by Chuck Jones. And Daffy and Porky. Let's see. Hanna-Barbera. Hanna-Barbera make the worst cartoons. Tom and Jerry is their original flagship cartoon. And they're responsible for those horrible cartoons in the 70s, like the really shittily animated ones. Anyway, that's enough about the golden era of animation. That's enough. INTP depression. Interpreting doesn't mean interpreting correctly. I don't understand quadratic equations. Okay, he's saying how he's not trying to compete with Eric, just understand him. He posited that he believes that no human knows absolute truth, only God does. Well, the point is, truth is not a big pile of things, right? So you might ask me a question, which person is taller? One answer is true and one answer is false. Why? Well, because the data that we both are referencing in that instance is objective. And so it's very easy to determine which statement has a value of truth and which statement has a value of false. Okay. But a lot of, look, I enjoyed the Jetsons and Flintstones and Scooby-Doo. I'm just saying that in the 70s, the worst cartoons, the ones that were the most cheaply produced, that had just this like repeating background and like barely moving at all, just like really poorly produced cartoons, were all Hanna-Barbera. Not every Hanna-Barbera cartoon was bad, but all the worst cartoons were Hanna-Barbera when I was a kid growing up. Okay, but what I'm saying, Cloud, is you're not talking about truth, though. You're talking about something else. If for example, I say, I am taller than Rachel, that is a true statement. If I say, I am shorter than Rachel, that is a false statement. And we can conclude that it's determined, it's absolute, because the nature of the thing being spoken about. Truth is a status we afford statements. Only statements have truth value. When we talk metaphorically about truth as being something other than a status we afford statements, but and it's not meaningless in that context, but we can't draw conclusions really about it. So like a given song may be more or less true. I might use that term myself. Something might work or not work. I might say it's either true or not true, but that's not really a correct use of the word truth. And so if you want to say that truth is something inherently unknowable, then you're not talking about truth as the word means something. No, but Cloud, what's an absolute truth, for example, is that I am taller than Rachel. That's absolutely true. We can say it's absolutely true because the nature of the data that I'm speaking about, plus the meaning of the words in the statement. There's no subjectivity to it at all in that instance, okay? Because the nature. Are we all in agreement with this, including Cloud, that it is absolutely true that I am taller than Rachel? It's not up for opinion. It's not up for dispute. Okay, so we agree then that we can attain absolute truth when we treat truth appropriately. We can never achieve greatness with a horse if what we're trying to do is get it to live underwater. It will just die. We can achieve greatness with truth if we limit our considerations of truth to those things that are subject to the status truth or false, namely statements. If we try to mush out the meaning of the word truth so that it refers to things that can't be clearly stated, then it's not an absolute truth, right? You might say that growth is that life and growth somehow are mutually dependent, okay? That to be truly alive, you have to be growing in one direction or another, metaphysically, physically, whatever. That might be the case. But then you see how what we can do is we can convert what you're saying into a statement about which we can talk about truth versus trying to eliminate the ability to talk about truth, which is what you're doing. You're trying to dissemble. You want to make it less possible to draw meaningful distinctions. But we don't need to make it less possible. The meaningful distinctions that we draw are, in fact, meaningful for a reason. Okay, so you're not responding to anything I say. This is what happens when you're TI polar. Okay, well, I'm saying if your goal is to get a horse to successfully live underwater, unaided, then you are bound to fail at that goal. In other words, to achieve greatness in that endeavor is to fully succeed and have the horse forevermore live underwater. And to partially achieve that goal is to be able to have the horse live underwater for up to an hour at a time, but then have to get out, right? So when I use the word greatness there, I just meant to maximally attain the goal. A boy was locked in a room by some robbers. All that is in the room is a piano, calendar, and a bed. The room is locked from the outside. What does he eat, drink, and how does he get out? He just plays the piano until he dies. Everything naturally evolves, whether you like it or not, Anthrax. Well, not everything. Like rocks don't evolve. He sleeps on the piano. He plays the bed, and he checks the calendar to see what time it is. And he plays a really beautiful song, sad song on the piano, so the robbers don't know what's happening. Then they come back and he knows the out and he runs. My body is made of dead matter? Okay, so if my body is dead, what's alive? Is there a crowbar under the bed? Is there a key? He eats the dates on the calendar, gets water from the waterbed, and uses the piano key to escape. But ta 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 ta. That's hilarious. Okay, but why is my body dead matter? If this is dead matter, then what's alive matter? You know? I mean, I get that my dead skin cells are dead. That not everything on my body is alive. These hairs are not alive. I can cut them off and I won't feel any pain. But like, you know, most of the meat of me is alive, right? It's not dead matter. But but the point is about not that if I were dead, it would be dead matter. You're right. If I were dead, my body would be dead matter. But I'm not dead, so my body's not dead matter, right? It's alive matter. Oh, it's not purely arbitrary, Mr. Ralteria. You're in a cement room with no windows or doors. The only thing you have is a mirror and a piece of wood. How do you get out? You, I don't know. How do you get out? You throw the wood at the wall and then stare at yourself in the mirror until your beauty causes the walls to crumble. You you break the mirror and use the sharp edges to whittle the wood into a cool figurine, and then you worry about it after that. After you're done with that, um, you release all the gases that are trapped in the mirror and the wood, um, so that the pressure in the room gets so great that it blows the walls out. You look in the mirror while beating the cement room out of your mind with the wood. It's a possible approach. Um, you put the wood up your butt and then look at it with the mirror until the oddness of what you're doing causes the walls to run away. The walls don't want to see that. Look in the mirror to see what you saw. Take the saw, cut the wood in half, put the two halves together to make a hole, and then just crawl out through the hole. Oh, Winston's mom. Those are silly questions. Atoms from stone can contain whatever atoms get into your body. Well, I already have atoms as part of my body. They don't have to get into my body. They're part of it. Stop this mental gymnastics. It's futile. Are you telling yourself that? Stop thinking deeply, think clearly. How about doing both? Perm do both? For you, as soon as you attempt to think deeply, things get cloudy. Circle of life. Yes, it's all the great circle of life. I become grass that feeds the antelopes, and then my children eat the antelopes. Nietzsche was not thinking deeply. That is not good thinking. Nietzsche is an example of a bad thinker. Not an example of a good thinker. Probably not even a TI user. No offense, non-TI users. But certainly, definitely not a good thinker. Talking almost entirely in metaphor, not making any real arguments. Calendar. Well, I'll tell you this, Rafael Alvarellos. Our email exchange doesn't make you seem very INFJ. That's for sure. It doesn't seem very second slot FE. Seems kind of third slotish, maybe, or I don't know, but I'll concede that nothing about you screams INFJ. It's a euphemism for what? Banana? Banana is a euphemism for apricot. ENTP, INTJ, ISFJ, whatever, can think deeply and disconnect from reality. Yeah, thinking deeply is connected to cognitive functions. And there's different kinds of thinking deeply, I suppose. You could think deeply about a given problem and how to solve it, or you could think deeply about a given argument and whether or not it's defensible. Well, Claude, but that's the difference between you and me. I acknowledge that logic validates within its own, it's its own system, that what's valid according to TI is not necessarily valid according to FI. The difference between you and me is you don't acknowledge that TI has a legitimate realm of coverage and FI has legitimate. You want everything to be FI tool function, you know? Right, but I've actually talked to Raphael before too, and even when I talked to Raphael, good point, Curious Kyra, by the way. Curious Kyra says, but then Eric, you thought I was FI polar from just the chat here, and I'm actually FI down. True. I was unable to distinguish between an INFP and an ENTP just in the chat. And I've said on many occasions before, any humor, if all the person is doing is making jokes, it is very difficult to distinguish an ENTP from an ENFP and also from an INFP if it's just in chat. If it's just in the chat, because in the chat, introverts are more communicative than they are in person, because they get to be safe and always deliberate out what they're going to say before they say it plenty, and they're not being things aren't as time sensitive. If you don't get a joke in a conversation in the space that's afforded for it, chances are you're going to miss your opportunity and the joke will no longer be relevant. But here, that's less so. So it makes sense that I would mistake INFP or ENFP for ENTP here if I'm just evaluating them on their humor or storytelling or any stuff, Raphael. Oh, there's a monster into the bed as well. Why don't I just enslave the monster and make him open the room up for me? But I would say this also, Curious Kyra, that FE tool is a little bit easier to recognize in text. Or, it's like, I can usually tell the INFJs. I'll probably mistake ISFJ for INFJ until they tell me otherwise, like Levi, for example. Because it's results oriented about like social factors. Is Monsters Tool any? If I'm asked, what if I'm not an INFJ? Like, based on text, email, anthrax, you seem like an INFJ. Now, it's also true that I might mistake the cleverness of INFJs for ENTP at first or something like that. But after a stretch of time, after I see multiple comments, it's pretty clear the distinction between INFJ cleverness and any cleverness. Any cleverness is more absurdist and random, like Kyra. And NI is more, generally has a little bit more pop on a universal level. It requires less parsing. Imagine thinking Trump is the ESFP. I'm not surprised that I'm an ESFP too then. In this TI world of Eric's bubble. Okay, I would agree, Cloud, that you're only ESFP if we use logic and reason and objectivity to determine your type. If we don't use logic, reason, or objectivity to determine your type, then you are not ESFP. I agree with you. But see, Raphael, I don't feel as though that was a factor in in the typing. It may be the case that I mistyped. It's possible, but I don't think it was because you were being dishonest or deceiving. I think I'll have to. I don't know. I'll email you today. I'll get around to it. I'm just being lazy. What type is most likely to run away from issues by going on walks and preoccupying their mind with TWFP videos? NTPs, NFPs, INFPs, INTPs, INFJs, and ENTPs, I would say, are the types most likely to do that. I do that a lot. Like, I'm running away from issues and preoccupying my mind by live streaming. I mean, I'm not at the moment really running away from any issues, but a lot of times there's other stuff that I think I should do, but I end up live streaming instead. And that's a constant. That is the number one life challenge for me, or my number one challenge for me as a moral agent is determining how much my shoulds ought be prioritized and when. So it's like, I feel like I worked a lot on those musics yesterday, just sort of tidying them up and not really making a whole lot of forward progress per se. In terms of, I didn't add any stuff. I just cleaned up stuff I had and arranged better and stuff. It took a long time anyway, and I played around with them a lot. I didn't feel like I really got any new work done. So I feel I should get new work done, but at the same time, I also have this sense that I won't work well unless, if I'm trying to make myself work, that it has to sort of naturally occur. If there's no conflict, people would just degrade. There's always going to be a need for bridging of gaps, and often that's where conflict arises, because for certain kinds of gaps, people don't want to close the gap. It's their values conflict. If conditional certainty conflicts with your value of authentic uncertainty, then you're going to oppose any movement towards conditional certainty, regardless of how well executed or poorly executed it is. You don't care about the specifics of that process. You dismiss the process as a whole. It's a value conflict. And it is true that life involves, Cloud, that's not true. That's absolutely not true. There are no yes people around here. I've never attracted them, and I've never encouraged that. I am very much a believer in people challenging and negating what I'm saying and so forth. Now, it is true, Cloud, that if you weren't around here, there'd be fewer arguments and more conversations. Okay, well, Cloud, look, Rachel's not perfect in her FE, and it's quite possible that Rachel is guilty of the thing you're saying, namely of disagreeing with me a lot, more than she ought to, or without fully thinking things through. That might be true of Rachel. It's not very nice of you to say, but it might be true anyway. It's not true in general around here at all. I've got a lot of people who make legitimate challenges to me all the time. And those legitimate challenges, when made, my response looks a lot different than what this looks like. With you, your challenge here is totally illegitimate. So when you say that if you weren't here, everyone would just yes man me, that's absolutely, patently false. When you say it's like a cult, completely, absolutely false. So I have to respond to you differently than I respond to other people. That's true. Most people, when they critique me, they find some element of it's legitimate. There's absolutely nothing at all cult-like about this place. I invite and experience pushback from people all the time. The video I made this morning is responsive to a commenter's 8-part critique of my understanding of things, and I responded directly and on point. I didn't ignore it. I didn't say he's wrong because he disagrees with me. I explained specifically why I disagree with him. That's not cult-like. You created a reality and narrative, and you talk with such cartoonish conviction, and all watchers are absorbing it because they think you're an oracle of logic. Cloud, you're here, but you are not. You obviously oppose everything I say. Now, you're at the extreme end, right? You want to dispute everything I say because you think, because you don't operate in the nuanced realm between affirmation and negation. But you're not the only person who negates. Just because you negate mindlessly, and most people negate in a more effective fashion, doesn't mean you're the only one who negates. Queen's Gambit is scared to come here. The thing is, I get pushback all the time. Horse Mumbler is always correcting me. Hambone corrects me every chance he gets. But the thing is, what they're doing is they're lying in wait and pouncing when I make a mistake. You just spew random shit. It's like it has no basis in reality at all. There's nothing cult-like about this. C.S. Joseph is kind of cult-like. That's cult-like because you won't get a response. He won't address your concerns directly, like I address your concerns directly. He won't give you real explanations. He'll say, well, read the book. That's cult-like. Reflexive contradiction is not meaningful disagreement. And the one thing that it does, though, is it gives me a lot of opportunity to go over some basic axioms that I otherwise wouldn't, right? Like I wouldn't expect nothing. Cloud's just being provocative, and he likes to see this is an SE DOM with any 8th slot using extroverted sensing to impact on the external metaphysical plane. In other words, he's kicking anthills, we're all dancing around, and that's exactly what he finds satisfying about being here. But the good news is, regardless of whether it serves his interest, if it does, great. That's why he's here, obviously. If it didn't serve his interest, he wouldn't be here. But the thing is, it allows me to talk about things like, okay, well, we need to understand that that there's dismissal of a whole modality, and then there's dismissal within a modality, and those are different things. So if you dismiss logic as a whole modality, then you are negating, but you're not negating within the modality. If you dismiss, if you say this is bad logic, then you're negating within the modality. If you say logic is bad, you're negating the modality as a whole. And you don't offend people, Cloud. You're fine. You are totally fine. He has no problem. He's Cloud. He comes in here and he provokes. He kicks the anthill, and he likes to see the ants run around, and that's fine. I personally think it's excellent training for me. I'm a fan of Cloud's, frankly. He is unique around here. He is the one person who comes in here and just tosses just tosses landmines around, just tosses grenades around. But see, look, this is what's great about him. Because he accused this of being a cult and me of recruiting yes men or something, the issue becomes explicit and gets addressed explicitly. I like addressing things explicitly because then the narrative's on the flow. A lot of things don't get expressed explicitly if nobody is saying something that makes me go, okay, like, why is what Cloud doing now wrong? It's sometimes a very powerful question to be prompted to ask. It reveals things to me. It prompts insights. And besides that, it's just Cloud's a character. People come in here and say things like Raphael does, which is, what's your problem, Cloud? What's up with this guy? It's like, And people talk about him. I talk about him. Rachel and I talk about him. You know, I know you're not a character. I'm not accusing you of being a character, Cloud. I'm accusing you simply of being an important member of the community, a unique member of the community, somebody who brings something to the community that nobody else brings. Other people might say the thing you bring isn't worth much, but I don't say that. I'm saying the thing you bring is worth a lot. I think there is indeed yes manning on certain topics, such as yes, Joseph will give that a pass. I mean, there's also yes. Everybody's also in agreement that nuclear war is bad. Sean Ryan Barron. That doesn't mean they're yes manning, right? Just because everybody's in agreement about an obvious fact doesn't mean they're yes manning me. It just means the fact's really obvious. And the thing is, it helps me understand that it's not about taking Cloud seriously or not. It's about the fact that he is bringing for me the reality that people will often critique in ways that are not within your preferred frame, and you have to be able to respond to those kind of critiques and recognize them as out of frame critiques. It's something that is helpful to me to practice because it's one of the problems with having a TI tool is I tend to assume everybody else is also operating in the same modality, or is when they offer a critique that their critique is going to be subject to counterpoint in TI in a TI frame, and it often is not. So, and also, I do believe very much that regardless of what happens in life, I want to bridge gaps, bridge intellectual gaps, value gaps, etc. There's a form of intellect that an FI tool user has that they are expert at that I am moronic at. I'm so moronic at it I don't even quite understand it. But it's the logic of FI, the calculation of various things that you hold precious to yourself or not, your attachments, the values, and when you have to make choices between multiple things that you have different levels of attachment to, understanding what choices to make there and what to prioritize, that's a hugely important part of life and a big reason why INTPs and ENTPs are very likely to not really know what to do, especially, more so than ENFPs and INFPs. Kyra knows what she wants to do. She wants to do music. ENFPs also generally know basically what they want to do. I'm not brushing you off into an FI label. I'm saying that FI and TI represent different metrics of evaluation. And that to the extent that you are very good on one metric, you're very bad on the other. I'm acknowledging that to the extent that you are not validating within the frame of TI, so too am I not validating within the frame of FI. Sure, absolutely. I'm wrong about, I've been wrong plenty of times, and I will be wrong again, It's just that when we're talking about things like cognitive functions, it's not, any is not the ultimate decider, it's TI, which means once something has been argued enough, then the winning arguments become basically set in stone, and there's no point in revisiting them. All of the stuff that I've been talking about cognitive functions for years and years and years now has been subject to critique the whole time by people like Jason Blood and Horace Mumbler and lots of other people. No, but see, I'm not doing that, Cloud. I'm not making the claim that this model explains all of reality. Hi.
You're on the.
Yeah, I can mute it.
the toilet area, and I'll lose the Wi-Fi. So it's just a little bit too far of a distance.
My dad's having problems with his Wi-Fi connection right now. Let's see here. You shall dare not offend our mighty Lord and Savior, your insolence fine. Lawnmower, yeah. Right.
Anyway, I can entertain them.
Okay, I will help my dad. All right, Rachel's here to entertain you for a second while I go help my dad.
I'm here, guys.
She's here, she's queer, she doesn't want any more bears.
No more bears. Please. Not that there's anything wrong with them bears. Ooh. He left it nice and warm for me. Oh, like Mop Top Central. I think everyone is in love with Cloud. Oh. And clothes to fold. That's good.
Here?
I'll do that.
Thanks.
Sure.
You want me to put them here instead?
You don't have to. Cause oh yeah, put them right there. Perfect. And then I'll be busy. Oh, sorry. Most people don't care about other people, whether they like them too much or not.
Open settings. Open settings.
Cleaning out my bowl right now. Mr. Yes and the Manners. That is a good smooth jazz or easy listening. What up, Mr. Raul Tierra? It goes well. I am starting my morning. I like to have start my morning with coffee, some marijuana, and a little listening to of music, preferably, or YouTubes. I watch YouTubes as well. And I'm going to put my makeup on.
This one, the 5G one.
It's very cathartic to me. Do you guys like having a morning routine?
5G. 5G fifth generation.
Subscribe by one?
So it's the fastest one. You connected to this one, but that's better than.
Cloud is a tier or two above a troll because he's definitely part of the community. He just likes to bring about a different point of view, which obviously like we all do that, being individuals. He's just pushy, you know? Yeah, it is preferable. Have a morning routine. I remember I worked at this one place. You're welcome, Cloud. I worked this one place and like it was fairly close, but in traffic it made it like really difficult to get to. So the trip should have taken like 15 minutes, but I would actually get like it would take 30 minutes to get me to work, and I had no morning routine. I literally just got up, like brushed my teeth, did my hair, and like ran out the door, and it was so unpleasant. Who's Sean? helpful if you guys speak in English. Type in English while I'm reading, because I feel like I can't even answer the things. I definitely did not reduce you.
Oh my, how come you're friendly? You never let me do this. That's enough.
I mean,
if you don't push this close all periodically, well, you can't see that. If you don't push close all, you start building up a bunch of things. The phone is running all those applications at the same time, and it slows it down.
All right, so
It should be faster now.
hey, Winston's mom.
I will try it again.
Okay, yeah.
Singing and swinging. So I'm putting this like primer stuff on.
You should probably go get a new phone. What they'll do is they'll take the chip out of your existing phone and put it into the new phone. So it'll be just like the same. You won't lose any information. You won't have to enter any new information or anything. It'll just be a newer phone. It'll be fast.
I don't know, I have to decide if I need a vacuum cleaner or a foam roller. That's a joke.
Okay. So yeah, that's what I'd say about that.
Boy, are you happy to have everybody back, huh?
If it's still super slow, you can also use either my laptop or Rachel's laptop.
All right, so what I would get is the Samsung.
Right, you just get a new
I would,
Hey, Alan Brian. How's it going? I'm putting my makeup right now. This is a primer, and it helps your. It's MAC. Where's the camera? Oh, it's Max Fix It. I got it from Zandy as a gift. And I'm going to pack my pipe
Let me know if it's still too slow.
because I have baby lungs.
all right, we'll try it again.
Yeah?
See, one of the problems is my dad has not really. I just tried to explain to him again that he has to sometimes close the background apps. Hi, Alan. Holla, Alan. Holla back, Alan. Oh, there's a sock I dropped.
Bye, Mr. R. Have a good day.
So,
Coke instead.
okay, so here's the thing. My dad doesn't understand he has to close his background apps periodically on his phone. So he'll have a stack of background apps running and be like, why is my phone so slow? Well, first of all, he's got an old phone that's not very good. And second of all, he's got a shit ton of background apps opening up in the background. He is young. He's not an older person. He's like 20 or something. He says, if someone delays something, the person in the closest nearby object will become as smooth as eggs. See, that's NE right there. That's NE humor. It's kind of out of nowhere. It's conditional. Yeah. What were you chatting about before I interrupted you?
Nothing, just putting on my makeup. I was telling them I have a morning routine that I like to do, and that part of it is pipe, coffee, and like live stream or music. So
you use a profane word, Skygear. What's the asterisk for? Edginess is a symptom of individualism. I see.
I'm as edgy as your mom's bottom.
Do you think I'm edgy, Cloud? Am I edgy? Thanks, darling. The asterisk means I wanted to correct something that I fucked up in my previous message. I thought it meant variable. You could put anything there. Fourth language is a hobby. One language is enough. But I didn't ask you that. I asked you if you thought I was edgy.
I'm losing my edge, which is good.
No flavor, Eric. Aw. Cloud, come on. Answer my question. Am I edgy?
TI question though, isn't it?
I was the one who's assigning edginess.
I know, but Cloud doesn't understand how to answer it.
Okay, so he says that I'm pure, and pureness is connected with individualism, and individualism is connected to edginess. Therefore, I am edgy.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a workaround for it for sure.
If that's how you want to tell me you think I'm edgy, then that's fine. I accept that. I've managed to get consistency. I'm learning several things, but I just can't get into another language. I don't want to be that edgy. Sasuke is too edgy, you know. He's too edgy.
He's all edge. Since like if you brush up against him, his shoulder blade will like cut you in half.
Yeah, he's very edgy. You know, I wouldn't mind being edgy like Shikamaru. Shikamaru's kind of edgy, but still responsible. Are all of the bunnies cute? The shrunken bunnies cute? Wow, thanks, Cloud. I'm both edgy and likable. I appreciate that. Actually, I don't try to be edgy. It's just sort of implicit to any, I guess, that you want to be different, you know? And one way to manifest difference is edginess. It's something that I've at least consciously dismissed kind of as cheap and easy some time back, but you know, still I'm drawn to, I guess. Hence my jokes like, well, I am so glad to see we have a burgeoning attendance here at Anal Wreckage Anonymous. 14 of you here today. All of you willing to admit for the first time that you have a problem with sticking unusually large things up your ass. You're not alone. Hi, I'm Eric, and
I read that anal sex was a pirate starting up of. So was blowjobs.
a pirate?
Yeah. Yeah.
You mean
Anal sex.
But what historian gleaned the origin story of anal sex and blowjobs?
Well, it would be for travelers, I should say. More than they would go to bars, and there would be women there who would go blow to suck them off. So it's a blow job, not really blow.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
Back in the days when travelers needed some sexual intercourse, but had none,
they go to taverns and they get a blowjob.
But see, I think blowjobs and anal sex began the minute people realized that vaginal sex can lead to pregnancy.
Too. I mean, yeah, probably, which makes sense.
Or it may have just been like BJ's probably began the first time somebody said, I totally want to put that in her mouth. But the butthole thing, I don't know where that.
I saw
You get poop on it. There's
sailors.
poop. But there's poop there. Why? There's no matter whether you're talking about gay or straight, there's always a top hole that renders the back hole unnecessary. It's always by choice. If you choose that, you choose that. For some
then
reason.
wouldn't the mouth hole be only an option too? If vaginal sex.
Okay, but I'm saying with two gay men, there's no badge, right?
No, there's not.
So I'm saying no matter whether you're talking about if you're trying to find an alternative to vaginal sex, or whether you need to because you're two men or you want to because you're a man who's worried about impregnating the woman or something, then why go to the back hole when the top hole is an option no matter what? So what I'm saying is it's always a better option because you don't emerge from the top hole with poop on your penis. Just talking common sense here, people. Just talking basic common sense.
No, but
There's no reason to go anal. Okay? That's me talking to you, the leader of Anal Wreckage Anonymous. The founder and first successful member of Anal Wreckage Anonymous. I used to put a guitar up my butt. I used to put, patio furniture up my butt. Now, I don't put anything on my butt. Nothing. Only things go out of my butt. All thanks to Anal Wreckage Anonymous. So why do some people do it then?
enjoy it. Some people do enjoy it.
Okay, well, even if it's not poop that you get on your penis, you still get inside of butt juice on your penis. There's no avoiding that. There's no avoiding that it's not a clean spot you're going up into. Why do people do it? I guess they like it. I don't know. They like it that way. They like the idea of sodomy because they think it's more sort of conquery.
Yeah, conquer for sure.
But
there's a different section to it.
Yeah, maybe people like the way it feels. I don't know. I'm big into being hygienic.
Yeah.
I don't ever want to be dirty, put dirtiness inside of Rachel at all.
I like that.
And thanks, Cloud. I love you too.
You going?
Okay, well, Sean Ryan Barron, it's true. If sex is the act of exploring each other's body, it's just another place to explore. Yeah, just like, okay, so we just went to, what is that town called again?
Which one?
In Washington that we stayed in? Buckley.
Buckley.
We just went to Buckley, Washington. We visited a lot of places in Buckley, Washington. It was great. We didn't visit the dump. We could have visited the dump. That would have been a more exhaustive visitation regimen, but we chose not to. Why? Because the dump's gross. Doy.
Can I say it's definitely oversimplified in porn too? They make it seem like it's just boom right up in there, and she's like, oh yeah. It's acting. They're acting.
Or very accustomed to taking it up the butt.
Yeah.
Do you have to stick patio furniture up your butt to hit the G spot? Serious question. Important question too. No, you don't have to stick patio furniture. In fact, patio furniture is probably not one of the better things to put up your butt.
No.
Jason Blood, no. Not seriously.
Yeah.
I'm into clothed dry humping. That's a weird
That's a team
fetish.
thing. That's the teen.
That'd be a weird fetish as a 50-year-old, though.
Yeah, it is. But you can still enjoy it. I'm not gonna judge.
I'm gonna judge. Judge. For men, the prostate can. No, listen. The thing is, Sean Ryan Barron, is something I've talked about a lot, but haven't actually gotten around to here, which is I want to get a drumstick to put up my butt to massage my prostate with. Ideally, could have Rachel assist in this process, but I read something on the internet about the best thing to use to massage the prostate, which is a drumstick, like for a drummer, not like a chicken drumstick, okay? In case you were thinking that, nor like an ice cream drumstick, rather like an actual drumstick, a very thin tip drumstick. So you're not putting something very thick. It's thinner than your finger going up your butt, like that. About its thickest point would be the tip of my pinky thickness. But that's the round part of the top that you use. The rest of it's thinner than that. And then I know Sean Ryan Barron. It's not something that I am interested in. No. Let's see here. What was I saying? Oh, yes. Does the drumstick have to be signed? Good question. No. Ideally, it's not signed. Ideally, you get it from the sterile drumsticks bin. But regardless, I think you sterilize it when you get home with some hydrogen peroxide, whatever else. But then you go up there and you find the prostate in question and push on it. Like, pow, 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 like playing the drums. Play snake jazz on your prostate. That's the goal here. I'm going to teach Rachel to play snake jazz on my prostate. Are there really such people, Cloud, in the world? I wonder. Are there really, quote unquote, satanic pedos that drink baby's blood, unquote? Do such people really exist? Do you know any of them? Where are they? I don't know any of them. I guess they would hide that fact from me, but Bill Burkett says, I wasn't offended. I'm an INFP and a very enthusiastic language dork. I don't feel like INFPs may be the best at naturally picking up language, but we do tend to stick to SI systems. Good point. Truck stops. Truckers and hookers. Alan Bryan says, very common.
Yeah, those are two things that go together. That would definitely win on Family Feud.
Alan Bryan also points out that he needs to stay out of prison because he likes his diameter. I cannot get myself to do that. So you could clean up. Would you do it then? If you clean up perfectly. So, if you're saying if you can clean up your butthole perfectly, no. Because it's no matter how clean you make it, it's still the inside of your butthole. It's still your inner butt. It's not for humping. For one thing, the inner butt is like your mucous membrane. It absorbs things that pass the blood-brain barrier. So it's not. It's like it's kind of a sensitive area in that regard, and you shouldn't really be humping people there. That's what I think. But whatever. It just confuses me. It makes no
It's just
sense.
not your thing. Who
It's just
cares?
not my thing, right?
I'm glad it's not your thing.
But I do want to drumstick my frosty.
Yeah, I know. That's a serious thing. You mentioned it more than once, so I know you're serious about it.
So we'll have to. I just need waiting for the Guitar Center to open, basically, to get a drumstick. Let's see. Is my dad still having internet problems?
I guess.
Okay, I'm going.
Well, Dad's going to Vegas.
I hope you get some luck, you know?
Yeah.
And some...
Is it true that ENTPs are highly conscious types? I don't know what that means. Highly conscious.
What does that mean?
Do you mean conscientious?
That's no.
No. We're
But
not highly
conscious,
conscientious.
for some reason I feel like awareness. Like when I met Jen, she was more spiritually inclined than I was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if he means conscious like that. Like
by conscious, do you mean spiritually attentive and or say self-growth aware?
Yeah.
Let's see. Curious Kyra. I'm reaching a life-changing revelation. That you'd like to be a cattle rancher? Drumsticks are gateways to gong mallets. True. I don't know about baby blood, but I did once meet someone who catered to that clientele. She was 30, she looked 19. Her wealthy family put her on the market starting at 13. That's awful. I wish I didn't know that. About 60 different types of minerals. I just mean that I'm not making any real arguments here. If I were to argue, I would usually set some boundaries. We're arguing eating bananas is immoral in relation to the tree. It's kind of bullshit. Aware. So he means aware.
Okay, yeah.
Aren't you aware? I mean, you gotta. I had to pull out of battle mode before I really gained meaningful awareness. until I quit drinking,
Oh, nice of you.
I didn't really have particularly real awareness. It was limited because I was always trying to fight every battle. And when you try to fight every battle, you never learn. But actually, Mr. Samuelson, my mentor teacher, was one substantial instance of me surrendering and putting on the learner's hat and learning, and not trying to compete against, argue against, or as an action deliberator type. You think, I will always make my determination about what's correct, not correct, etc. You just give me the information and I'll make my own determination. But in that instance, there was a TE need. I had to learn on a TE level. Like, how can I do a good job according to this guy? Instead of meta-analysis, which is what I was trying to do. Is this guy's presentation of a good job consistent with my understanding of what education ought to do or something, is what I initially started thinking about. And then he basically said, look, you gotta have a come to Jesus moment here where you try to do it like I want you to do it because I'm your employer. And I did, and that was very helpful to me. But that was one spot where I realized the significance of learning, I guess. That's what it really means for an EHP to be aware, is to prioritize taking advantage of learning opportunities rather than just always trying to be a warrior. I also learned a lot when I had Scott Wheeler as my assistant coach. He was my assistant coach, but he knew more about debate than I did. And so I learned a lot from him. He was an ESTJ, benefactor, beneficiary. That was a very comfortable relationship because even though I was his boss, on debate coaching matters, he was my mentor, basically. Or on technical debate matters, like complex debate matters. So back when I debated, they didn't have any of the kind of new debate arguments. Like, now people run Ks and all kinds of crazy shit. And people don't necessarily argue the stock issues at all. And it's way more wide open than it used to be. So I needed to learn some things. And I made a concerted effort to learn from my assistant coach, which is a perfect way for an EHP to learn. The best way for an EHP to learn is to be the boss of the person he's learning from. Adrenochrome? Adrenochrome is taught by these least. What's adrenochrome? Search Google for adrenochrome. Adrenochrome is a chemical compound with molecular formula produced by the oxidation of adrenaline. The derivative is a hemostatic medication. Several small-scale studies conducted in the 50s and 60s reported that adrenochrome triggered psychotic reactions such as thought disorder and derealization. Hoffer and Osmond claimed that adrenochrome is a neurotoxic psychotomimetic substance and may play a role in schizophrenia and other mental illnesses. The adrenochrome theory of schizophrenia waned. In the early 2000s, interest was renewed by the discovery that adrenochrome may be produced normally as an intermediate in the formation of neuromelanin. Adrenochrome is detoxified at least partially by glutathione S transferase. Some studies have found genetic defects in the gene for this enzyme.
I took this off the board
Oh, okay.
while you were gone, just in case somebody wondered in.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay. Adrenochrome is unscheduled by the Controlled Substances Act in the United States. It is not an approved drug product by the Food and Drug Administration. If produced as a dietary supplement, it must comply with good manufacturing practice. Adrenochrome. The adrenochrome scene appears in the film adaptation, where Hunter S. Thompson mentioned adrenochrome in his 1971 book, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. The adrenochrome scene also appears in the novel's film adaptation. In the DVD commentary, director Terry Gilliam admits that his and Thompson's portrayal is a fictional exaggeration. Gilliam insists the drug is entirely fictional, and seems unaware of the existence of a substance with the same name. 40 cc's of adrenochrome. I don't see anything here that would suggest there would be any reason to take adrenochrome. I think Hunter S. Thompson just made it, just picked the word and used it to mean speed, basically. He probably meant speed, and he just said adrenochrome, you know? It's like his nickname for speed. Obviously. It's not a drug. It causes schizophrenia? Or causes psychotic breaks, or what? Who says millions of children are disappearing every year? Yeah, okay. I can tell you what Hunter S. Thompson was talking about. He was talking about amphetamines, but he said adrenochrome because it's probably a cute NE nickname he came up with for it. Because of its sort of adrenaline-like nature. It's our own blood from our adrenal glands. This is why you cringe. Let me type in adrenochrome and elites. Okay. The truth about adrenochrome. Adrenochrome is a drug the elites love, says gossip columnist turned conspiracy theorist Liz Crokin. It comes from children. The drug is extracted from the pituitary glands of tortured children. It's sold on the black market. Okay. This is nonsense. This is absolutely nonsense. Yeah, Hunter S. Thompson made this up. Where'd you get this? I asked. You can't buy it. Never mind, he said. It's absolutely pure. I shook my head sadly. What kind of monster client have you picked up this time? There's only one source for this stuff. He nodded. The adrenaline glands of a living human body, I said. I said, it's no good if you get it out of a corpse. This is just made up stuff by Hunter S. Thompson. This is just extrovert intuition drug babblings by Hunter S. Thompson that have now been co-opted into an actual conspiracy theory by people who don't get that Hunter S. Thompson was just fucking around. He didn't even mean to have it taken seriously, probably. It's like there's a lot of times when I'll make jokes or say things that it seems very obvious to me that people should get that I'm just making shit up randomly, right? But a lot of times they won't get that because I have a dry delivery style. Yeah.
There's facts right there. God deliberation. Stump even me. Actually, usually does.
But what if it were actually real? Well, then obviously we'd have a lot of crime to solve. The police would have something to do. Okay, I got to go. I'm done. I got to go.
We live stream again later.
We can.
Cool.
Adrenochrome is a real thing. Yes, I know. The nonsense made up around it is nonsense, but it's a real chemical compound with a real patent that you can really make. You can make it. You don't have to extract it from the glands of living people, right? You can actually just manufacture it, right? Just to clarify, Horse Mumbler, can you say, yes, you're right about that, Eric? Okay, Kyra wants to be type pleased. All right, I'll keep that in mind. Goodbye, everybody. I'll assume I'm right, Horse Mumbler. Serious, Kyra? No. Homie, don't play that. Okay, wait, lawnmower. Why, though? You don't know you're not a chemist. God damn it, Horse Mumbler. You're supposed to resolve that point for me. All right, goodbye, everybody.